Hello. Today we're going to talk about creating charts and graphs using Microsoft Excel. So I have here Microsoft Excel's online version. This can also be done with the desktop version, but I assume that everyone has access to the online version. So let's go ahead and begin. To start with, we need to take a look at the data you're going to use for the chart or graph. Here I grabbed highest salary of MCU actors from Screen Rant. But to make sure your data is able to be used into a chart, you're going to need to have a separation between your labels and your values. First of all, you need your labels and your values in different cells. They need to be adjacent, either in adjacent columns or adjacent rows. You can also go horizontally across. The labels need to be to the left or the top. The values need to be to the right or the bottom. So you need to have your labels in good order. When you're ready to begin, you've typed in all your data, highlight your labels and your values, and that's going to define the range that we're going to use to create the chart. Make sure you haven't highlighted any blank cells because that's actually going to show up on the chart as a blank space. We don't want that. That's going to detract from your chart. So highlight only the data, the labels and the values that you need. Once you've got your data highlighted, you've got that range defined, go to the ribbon and pick the Insert tab on the ribbon. From here, and again, the desktop version will have a bit more choices, but you will see an area of charts and graphs. And here I can click recommended charts and it can recommend charts to me. But in this case, I know I want a column graph or a bar graph. So I can come over here and pick a column graph, or I can pick a bar graph, whatever is interesting to me. Let's pick a bar graph. So I select that, it takes my data and it throws it into a chart. Now the chart still needs a little bit of refinement. Maybe we need to adjust the size a little bit. Let's go ahead and adjust that. On the desktop version, you've also been given a choice if you want it on this sheet or a different sheet. All right, now when the chart is selected, you're going to know up here on the ribbon, you're going to see an extra tab that's not there before. On the desktop version, you'll actually see two extra tabs. It'll go away when you've deselected the chart, but it will come back when you select the chart. So let's take a look at these extra choices because it will give you an ability to adjust your chart. Now, you can adjust whether the computer is reading this as rows or columns. With rows, with the way it's currently being read, it's all one big series, or you can switch that and see how that changes how the computer reads it, whether it's different units like that. And you can pick the one you think represents your items best. I think I like that one a little better. I think it works better for the data on the side, even though it's a little bit less colorful. Select data. You already did when you selected your cells, but if you want to change that, you can come here and change the data. You can switch the chart type. The title. Chart title doesn't explain what we're dealing with, so you will want to go and edit that chart title. So type what it is that we have here. So we have the highest salaries of MCU actors. And that will input the chart title. Now, keep in mind, all these decisions you make need to make your chart more accessible to who's ever reading it. So keep that in mind as you're making your decisions. Yes, you want it to be attractive. Unattractive charts get a little bit less attention, but if we don't understand what we're looking at, your chart has failed. So you definitely want to make your chart as readable as possible. Let's move on here to access titles. So you have your access titles. Do we show them? Do we not show them? Do we have it below? Let's add an access title. And let's go ahead and put that this is earnings in millions. And there it puts our access title down here. And let's grab one for the vertical or the y-axis as well. And these are MCU actors. That one might be a little bit obvious, but honestly, I like to put labels there anyway. We have a legend. Now, I got to be honest, this legend looks kind of meaningless because of the way we've read our chart. So you may just want to turn the legend off. If you have a good legend, then you also have some choices here of where you put it. But for this chart, no legend is fine. So here are some ways we can adjust our chart. If you've got the desktop version, you can go in and you can colorize the individual charts. Um, let's go ahead and format our chart. I've right clicked on the chart and I'm picking format. You'll see a side menu appears. Again, you see some of the same choices you saw up here, but you can get in and you can adjust the color. Maybe blue is not our color. Maybe we want to go red or green or something else. There's a nice little earth tone. Adjust the outline. Here's some other things you can adjust. Trend lines if we want, if we're seeing a trend, how that's going. Um, there's a bit of things that you can adjust here and change the placement. But this is all what we can do to create a chart. I'd like to show you another example briefly. Let's come to another sheet. Now, here's just some more data. This data comes from Vox.com, where they asked a whole bunch of people, how do you spend your day, and made a chart from that. So I'm going to grab this data. And the reason why I laid this out, just so you can see that you can also lay it out horizontally rather than vertically. So we have, again, our labels on top, our values on bottom, no extra spaces. Again, I go to insert, I pick the chart I want. Now, because this is total hours out of a whole day, I'm going to pick a pie chart because I think that's going to be um, a good representation. Make this a little bit bigger so we can see it a little bit easier. All right. Again, I'm going to go through our, let's click on our chart to, again, we can see whether we read this in rows or columns. One of these obviously far superior to the other. We do want a chart title for this. So we do want it. We can pick where we want it. Let's put it above the chart. And this is going to say how we spend our day. There we go. Do we want a legend? Now we do have a legend. So that we do have some control over where. And because we have more horizontal space than vertical, I want to put it on one end. Let's put it on the left. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit nicer. Now, I think it would be helpful if we saw some numbers to help represent what's going on here. So I'm going to ask for some kind of data labels. Let's bring that in. And here we have some choice of how and where they show up. Let's pick best fit and see what we get. There we go. Some are inside, some are outside. I do know on the desktop version, you can actually have a lot of control over how big the labels are and where exactly they go and what colors we deal with. Let's go into format and see what we have here. Let's see what we can pick. All right, so we can, colors vary by slice. We have some choice here. Wonder what happens if we pick some of this stuff. Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's not what we want at all, is it? So let's go to undo that, since I think that looks pretty horrible. I am not seeing an undo button here on the online version. There it is. Okay, so again, you've got some choices here. There's a bit more choices on our desktop. You can actually go in and customize these colors and see how you want them. There are different kinds of pie charts. There are 3D ones. There are shadow effects. Some of them are quite interesting. But whether you have the online version or whether you have the desktop version, you can create charts and graphs in Excel.